Hey, what's up guys? It's Majin Slayer here. You can want to call me Andres, or nickname Andy as well. Today I want to go ahead and talk to you guys about the second place deck list I used to get to the finals of MBT's Chalislime monthly tournament of October. I went undefeated throughout the entire tournament up until finals where I lost against my worst matchup, which you guys probably know from MBT's live stream, Mystic of Mine. Typically, my worst matchup is Invoke Domenica Shadows, but when I don't have the Omni-Negate in Dragoon, the Mystic Mind matchup just becomes the worst out of all of them. But, I mean, if I had to lose that day, at least it was to my worst matchup possible. But, tournament went alright. Pretty nice. I've dueled in it a couple times at this point, so really nice to get to the finals this time. It's not necessarily the most prestigious tournament, but if you're an online only player like me, it gives you good practice for bigger meta relevant tournaments like a DCS or an LCS and even Master Duels that's coming up soon, so that we can get used to like the exhaustion, having to withstand the concentration, not being able to take back plays, because on Dueling Book you can, because you can claim misclicks, glitches, stuff like that. Meanwhile, if you're using an automatic simulator, there are no takebacks whatsoever. So it gets you like in that mindset ready to where if you're gonna click to do a specific action on the card, you gotta be ready to go all in. More quick glances at my deck list, you guys can see that I'm not running Dragoon. I don't feel like an Omni-Negate is necessary for this format currently. It's not like in March format where you pretty much needed to run Dragoon, otherwise you were getting fucked by going second dinos, them dropping Mystic Mine or Lightning Storm against you. And also, we're more like in the mid-range formats. I don't think building like a complete board full of like Dragoon, Poglaze, Appaloosa is really necessary. If you guys can tell about my playstyle, I usually end on about one extra deck monsters backed by one or two Fog Blades. My extra deck monster choices are pretty diverse, as you can see. They're geared to handle different types of matchups, such as clearing out back row or getting rid or interrupting combo decks with the Nightmare, the Appaloosas. And then my side deck is also more catered towards rogue matchups, as you guys can see, since most of MET's audience is mostly on the roguish side of things. But yeah, so let's go ahead and go over the deck lists. So we have the 10 standard Phantom Knight monsters. Don't really think I need to go over that. 3 Tour Guide, Grab, Seer, and Scarm. I really like Scarm. Not a lot of people play it. I really like it because it gives you nice follow-up with the Cherubini. And like a lot of the times you just get nibbed even if you try to play around the Nibiru. So I'd rather just ensure that I have the Cherubini ready by searching out a tour guide during the end phase with it. And plus, worst case scenario, I'll just special summon out the Scarm to help unbrick up my hand and just use it as link fodder with the Cherubini. Then the extenders, Kagamuchi Knight, Psychics, Danger Package, 2 E-Telly, 1 Rhoda. I only like Kagamuchi Knight at 1. I feel like it's dead a lot of the time, especially against the Tri-Brigade matchup where they're going to be pumping out Appaloosa like 80% of the time. And like, you can argue, okay, you can chain block it, right? But really, they're gonna negate the Kagamuchi Knight, and then once you bring out the monster, special summon out from the extra deck, you go ahead and banish it with the Revolt. So really, you have to have a pretty good hand if you're gonna play through that, because you would need another special summon extender at that point. So it's kind of format dependent in my opinion, the Kagamuchi Knight. I'd play it more, maybe later formats, depending on what type of boss monsters are being put up for right now, I'll just keep it out at 1 because it's pretty much dead a lot of the time when you're going up against tier 1 decks like Tri Brigade, unless you happen to open up Tour Guide in hand, which you're kind of gambling at that point. And the 2E Telly, I like it a lot. Serves really well with Forbidden Droplets, so that way you minimize the amount of cards in hand you have to give up in order to break your opponent's board. And also, 2E Telly is one of the reasons why I stopped playing Pot of Prosperity, because a lot of the times, if you guys see my older deck list, that I grabbed extenders whenever I would excavate off of Pot of Prosperity, and this kind of just helped fix the issue of that by being able to see more extenders, because now it's at 2 as opposed to 1. And then Rhoda just helps searches to Kagamuchi Knight or any Phantom Knight name I want in hand. And for going second cards, you got the 3 Ash, 2 Nib, 3 Droplets, 2 Chalices. Ash is pretty standard. That'd be pretty good. It's high impact. 3 Droplet, pretty standard. And 2 Chalices. I used to play Crossout and Imperms, but I found myself really missing the Shade Brigandine a lot, so that we could extend through like an Ash Blossom or Skullmeister on Graph. And so I decided to put the Shade Brigandine back in, and to not have any conflictions with infinite impermanences, I put the Chalices in. And I really like it. Helps if like my opponent tries to revolt me mid combo, I just go ahead and chain Chalice to that effect. It can hit face up Link monsters like an Appaloosa as well. And works really nice in combination with the Droplets as well to send as discard fodder. Then we got the Fog Blades, Wings, Shade Brigandine. I just recently switched over to Sword, or no, not to Sword, to Wings, sorry. I used to play Sword. I'm just doing some testing with it, seeing how I like it. I like it in the fact that if case for you need to set it, just go ahead and activate it right away. Then you go ahead and get the Break Sword pop right away. So we'll go ahead and see how it shapes up. It was like a last minute change to switch it up. And then we get the Imperial Order, Harpy's Feather Duster. These help just deal with like spells. Harpy's Feather Duster is more of like a going second card, but it does help me against trap decks to where, since I don't run the Dragoon, it's a lot more harder for me to deal with those decks. And this Imperial Order is just a really strong blowout card this format that this deck can get around by, since the spell cards aren't really that important to us as they are to other decks. And the Called by the Grave just helps me play through hand traps, and also is decent going second as well. But yeah, so that's the main deck, 42 cards. I feel like the Phantom Knight deck lists are good, around 42, 43. You can play 40 if you want. I just kind of felt like whenever I would play a 40 deck card version of this, I would be seeing like too much engine, like too many Phantom Knight names in hand, like 2 boots or 2 tour guides in hand. I'd see too many of my 3-ofs basically, which I don't necessarily want to see. And also with the 42 card choice, you also decrease the chances of seeing your Burning Abyss bricks, for example. And so definitely if you decide to go the Dragoon route, you definitely want to be playing a higher count too, like 45 cards as example is what I used to play. But yeah, I might change it up, bump it up to 43, depending on what cards I feel I'll need for post versus Destiny, but we'll see. Then for the extra deck, pretty diverse in my opinion. IP Masquerena, good for interruption during your opponent's turn. I can pretty much link summon into a Nightmare Unicorn for interruption, or go ahead and if I'm able to get a Break Sword into the graveyard alongside a trap, go ahead and use Rusty Effect to pop one of my opponent's cards with the Break Sword, bring back out the Torrent Scales during my opponent's turn, then go into one of my Link 4s like an Appaloosa or an access code talker, which is really good in the Outlich matchup, since you have a 4300 beat stick that can't be destroyed by card effects, and it's really hard for Outlich to get over something like that. So it's really good for those purposes. The Nightmare package is there for helping me clear out back row before I commit to my Rusty summon, and they're also good attribute fodder for my access code talker. With the Unicorn, it'll get it up to 5300 attack points. Then you got the Appaloosa, really good in the Drytron matchup. And then just really good effect negation overall, like in Virtual Road as well, for example. Then the Underworld Goddess, it's another hurdle that decks will have to waste resources to get over it. Really nice, helped me out an opponent's or rival's Cybers that they didn't see coming. Helps get rid of like any type of like troublesome card your opponent might have out on their field. Throwing out the Cherubini, Phantom Knights, Rusty Bardiche, pretty standard. Cherubini is really nice for link climbing, and also good recycling after I get the tour guide search after using Scarab's effects. You got the Levier, good for recycling back your Phantom Knight names. You got the 2 Break Sword, pretty standard. You use one for setting up your first turn board, then you use the second one for breaking boards going second. You got the Evil Storm Nightmare, Time Thief Redoer. I like Nightmare a lot. Where decks rely a lot on getting their monsters into the graveyard or using them as XCs or Synchro material. Such as the Dragon Link matchup, Nightmare is pretty much an FTK against them, because they really rely on getting different attribute fodder, especially summon out Black and White Dragon or Chaos Dragon living near as examples. And the Time Thief Redoer is the alternative monster I go for if Evil Storm Nightmare isn't a good matchup, such as Sky Striker or Altergeist examples. And then the Time Thief Redoer really pairs nice with the Shade Brigandine and the Stained Graves. So we have the Downerd Magician and the Zeus. I really like the Zeus packages format. Pretty much go board wipe and then set a Fog Blade or 2 and have another board wipe ready for my opponent's turn, in which case they have to play through the Fog Blades first. Then I can go ahead and wipe the board with Zeus. But yeah, I feel like Extra Deck is pretty diverse, more of a utility build. It's pretty much geared to handle almost any matchup aside from Mystic Mind, fortunately, but it is what it is. Then for the side deck, I swear I would think I said this earlier, where I put in a lot more rogue side deck choices due to the audience of MBT. So my choices were 3 Drolls, 2 Phantasmes, Red Reboot, 3 Twisters, Spell Trap Hate, 2 Anti-Spell, 2 Triple Tactics Talents for going first. I might put Triple Tactics Talents in the main. I've been seeing a lot more people playing it in the main, because it is pretty decent, depending on the matchup going second as well, but at the same time, it's not a hand trap, so it can help you break boards, but it just depends on what you're facing up against exactly. But we'll see. I just like it more in the side, just because you're going to have a higher percentage of it being live, because your opponent's going to be throwing out a lot more hand traps against you games 2 and 3 when they side them in. Then you got 2 DD Crow. This has worked pretty decently in my testing, helping me get rid of like a Meteonis Drytron ritual spell, the Cyber Angel Ben 10, engage in the Sky Striker matchup, or a Golden Lord in the graveyard as well. This is like a more meta relevant tournament though. I definitely put in Psycho Readers in place of the Phantasmes and one of the Drolls, but we'll go ahead and see how that turns out, how the meta shapes up. Post Burst of Destiny, I might test out the I probably will test out the Destroy Phoenix Enforcer. What am I saying? I already tested it out, but we'll go ahead and see how that fares up. definitely be live streaming rated once Burst Destiny comes out, and see how the Phoenix Enforcer turns out. If I like having 3 Fusion Destiny to help out with the consistency issues of that deck, or if I'm just going to be annoyed with the bricks like I was with the Dragoon pieces. But yeah, overall tournament, I liked it. If you guys want to play in it, be aware it is more catered towards MBT's audience, but serves as nice practice nonetheless. If you guys want to start playing in online tournaments like LCS, DCS, or even the Master Duels that are coming out. It's going to be coming out this winter, supposedly, but because we just gotta go ahead and wait and see on that. But I hope you guys enjoy the video. Be sure to leave any questions or comments down below if you have them for me. Otherwise, hope you guys have a nice day. Peace.